at my babies.
Papa, non, papa.
Oh my god. So, as usual, for this boy, he loves them. And it's really, really hard. So, guys, after waiting for the electricity to come back, let me tell you what time it is. 6:56 p.m. That is cray. I keep on getting like text messages. Anyway, we're gonna skip that. So I wanted to briefly talk about something. The lack of accountability when it comes to men. And how many women actually lose the babies. Okay. Like they get pregnant and then they lose the babies. Let me tell you this story. So basically, this woman told me that it is okay for men to beat on their wives if the woman is acting up. And if the woman is pregnant, happen to be pregnant, then she has to be the one protecting herself, right? Like she shouldn't be angry at the man because she should already fear that he's going to be, he can actually punch her and she can lose her baby. This is coming from a woman who lost her 7 months pregnancy, 7 months old baby in her belly. She was 7 months pregnant and she lost her child just because of an argument with the husband, and the husband punched her in her stomach. And then I think she fell. Next thing you know, she went to the hospital and the baby had passed away. At 7 months, this is somebody who looked like she was searching for that child. Okay, she searched for that child for years, for more than 10 years. She wanted to be pregnant and she could not. But that was one of the stories that I wanted to mention, right? I wanted to mention it because for me, it's the lack of accountability. The lack of accountability and how we don't hold men liable for certain acts, for certain crimes. Because this one, I actually call it a crime. How are you going to punch a woman in her stomach knowing that she's fully pregnant? How are you even going to, okay, I have this friend, right? She was arguing with her husband. Again, that was back in the days, maybe like 10 plus years ago. Oh my God. Yes, it's been 10 plus years ago. Wow. So this girlfriend of mine, right, gets married, and then they don't get along at all. This is, you know how some of these men be like, you live abroad, okay, the diaspora, but when you want to get married, you figure you're going to go back home and look for the wife. So that's what the men did. Went back home, looked for my girlfriend, and then she moved to the state. Next thing you know, she's pregnant. They're fighting all the time. And then at some point, he pushed her down the stairs, right? So she kind of rolled down the stairs. That was her first pregnancy. Thank God the baby survived. And that's the only child that she has today. But, and I remember when she was telling me those stories, right? I was, guys, like, I was like, are you okay? Like mentally, like as you're telling me the story and the next day you wake up in the same bed with the man, like are you mentally all right? And it was always funny because at the end of the day, whether you are there to support that friend, at the end of the day she will always choose the husband, right? And I think that was one of my girlfriends that I was like, girl, we're not going to be stepping into your business no more. Like, because she would be calling everybody, right? She would call her girlfriends, her mom, her sisters, and then she would tell us how bad it is and how violent the husband is. And then all of us are so concerned because, when you love somebody, you want to protect the person. And next thing you know, you see pictures with her husband laughing, smiling. And then you think, like, what was the point? Like, some of us actually bought our entire flight ticket, flew on the other side just to see her, just to make sure she was all right, just for her to be getting back with her husband. Today they divorced, okay? They finally divorced. But it was one of those things that you are like, why? Like, what's the point of actually, why? Like, I'm not judging. You know how I always say, listen but don't judge. Guys, this is going to be that conversation. Listen but don't judge. So basically, the conversation that I had yesterday was the same type of conversation. This is what is happening to this couple today, right? That other couple. And that the woman who is, I think she's 7 months pregnant, the woman who is currently pregnant is supposed to stay away from the husband because the husband can actually punch her. And the husband, he's a man. The way she said it, she said, he's a man. She should expect it. He's a man. And I was like, what? Like, where does the accountability start? Like, at what stage do we decide, oh, this is wrong? Like, let's not normalize violence and say men are going to be men, boys are going to be boys, Like, if you're going to be arguing with your man, expect a slap. If you're going to be arguing with your man, expect that he's going to be punching you. And even though you're pregnant, and then you argue with him, at the end of the day, it's going to be, why did you argue with him? It's not going to be, how dare he? It's going to be, why did you argue with, like, always on the woman. And this is something that I've noticed here in Cameroon, right? For people who are going to be up on my business saying that, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. This is marriage. Yes, we're not looking for that type of marriage. Okay. I'm not even one to judge because I've had all type of friends and relatives that have been in some really interesting relationships, and I'm always there to be a support system for the person. I'm never going to tell somebody leave your husband, but if you tell me I want to leave my husband, then I will provide you that support, whether it's emotional, financial, or whatever. But I'm never going to tell the woman leave your husband, right? I've had instances at my school where some of the women teachers, when they get pregnant, the husband tells them, you can work, like, I need somebody to take care of my child. Keep in mind that the husband or the partner they're living with doesn't work. So who's paying the bill? He doesn't work. And next thing you know, 1 year down the road, after she stops working, the story would be, I was with that man for 1 year after I gave birth. He wasn't working. He was abusing me physically, sexually, and all of these things. And I stayed in the relationship because of the baby, because the family told me that you don't leave a man who is there for your child, even though the man doesn't make money, right? That was one instance of something that happened for real, where the woman actually said she regretted why she quit her job, but she felt like she had that family pressure, like, culturally, a woman, she has to choose her family, choose the husband. Or, I mean, she wasn't even married, but choose the man, choose having a family over having a job. And I think nowadays things are changing. And that's not to say women should choose careers before they choose, having a family. I believe that if you want to go for a family, go for a family. If you want to go for your career, go for your career. If you want to go for both, go for both. You see what I mean? But just have a partner who's going to understand where you stand and what your priorities are. Like, do you want to be a stay-at-home wife, or do you want to be a career woman? You just have to have a supportive partner who understands that. Because I think for the most part, women here that I talk to all the time, women here are okay with the men, going after the dreams, the career dreams, right? Some women, many women, not just, like, the younger generation, but like, my aunties, some of my aunties or my mom's friends, some women actually are the one who are the breadwinners, and then they take care of the husbands, which I didn't know when I was a child, right? As I grew up, I became, a mature woman myself. Now that I'm looking at these aunties, I'm like, oh my God, you were the breadwinner, but yet they couldn't even manage their own money because the husband had a say on everything. I have this auntie, right? It's ridiculous, ridiculous. And this is, and I say auntie because she's not my, like relative, but it's an auntie because in Africa, the friend of your mother is your auntie. Okay. So I have this auntie, um, married and everything. Husband used to be abusive to her, like physically abusive and all of these things. He would drink, he would always get drunk. She would be the one working. She goes to the farm, she does this, she takes care of the children, and then she has to sell in the marketplace and get the money and then pay for the kids' tuition fees and all of these things. I never knew that they were never officially married. Like they were just living together, her and her partner. They were never official. I just thought when I was a child that they were married, right? Come to find out they were never married. That woman actually paid for her own bride price, if you know what bride price is. Paid for her own dowry because she was like, "You're gonna marry me by fire or by force." Paid for her own bride price. Got married. 5 years down the road, they've been married 5 6 years now officially, but the oldest daughter is probably 23 24 years old. And I, like, it's crazy because you see her aging, right? You see her aging, you see her miserable, and it's just now, I'm in my 30s, she's in her 50s, I think, late 50s. So it's just now that when I talk to her, she's like, I don't know what I did. Like, this is not the example I want to set for my daughter, but I did it anyway. Like, it's just now that she's coming into the realization that, wow, I took care of this man. I tried my best to build him up, to like find jobs for him, all of these things. He was drinking the first day, he kept on drinking up to today. Even in his old age, he's in his 60s already. The man is still drinking left and right. Like, he will steal his wife's money in order to go to the bar and drink. And today she's regretting, but guess what? She's not going to divorce him because how are you going to look being a 50-something-year-old woman and divorce the man? It's crazy. Like, I say it's crazy. For me, it's not crazy. I'll divorce your husband a bit. But for the women here, it's kind of like, you don't do that, right? Like, you've been with him forever. It's better to be with the devil that you know than the angel you don't know. And that's how people, that's how women stick and they stay in relationships that actually don't serve them. Relationships that actually kill them, slowly. And you see those women, like the way they even age, like they age faster, they're miserable, they're never happy. But then they're married, they're married. Like this auntie yesterday who was trying to tell me and trying to normalize the men behavior by saying that, if a woman is pregnant, she shouldn't argue with her husband, in case the husband becomes violent and then the husband punches, blah, 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 blah. It's just the same thing as telling a woman, don't wear that skirt that shows your legs, because if a man looks at you, he might not be able to control himself. That's what I'm saying. Where does the accountability start when it comes to men? Where do we start holding men accountable and liable for some of these crimes? Instead of normalizing the behavior, boys are going to be boys and men are going to be like, no, like that is ridiculous. And one thing that, per many other conversations that I've had in the past, I always told women, because, gosh, I used to be a fighter, right? Like I was a women's right fighter. Anyway, I wanted to stand up for women until I realized that many of those women did not want to be saved. Once you understand that many of the women you want to save do not want to be saved, then your fight is not going to be speaking to everybody, because many of these women don't want to be saved. They may not be happy, but they don't want to leave the situation, right? And you can't, how are you going to fight for them? They're not asking you to fight for them. So it came a point where I stopped. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm advocating for, let me advocate for myself instead of advocating for the women, the female gender. We're not going to do that, right? Because many of those women don't want to be saved. And you may advise them, like this auntie yesterday, right? I'm talking to her. I don't think she gets it. I'm not going to lie. I think the narrative that she has is that men are going to be men and men are violent. And it's up to you to make sure you don't raise your voice. You don't disagree with them, because if they punch you in the stomach while you're pregnant, it's okay. Wow. Just think of like, listen, but don't judge. We're listening, but I don't know about not judging. But anyway, so that is the conversation I wanted to have with you guys. Today wasn't going to be a vloggy vlog because actually I wanted to vlog, but then life happened, the weather happened. I was like, you know what? Let me talk about this because yesterday I actually wanted to pull the camera and be like, guys, I just had this conversation. Like I was pumped, right? And then I was like, girl, you still sleepy? Like it was past midnight. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Let the auntie sleep and then just sleep. Wake up tomorrow and talk about it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, I'm probably gonna write. As usual, I write things on the screen whenever I forget things. But yeah, I feel like this topic is gonna be one of those topics that if I start talking about women violence and men, the lack of accountability and responsibilities and things like that, it will take forever, right? It will be like just topic part one, part two, part three, part 10, part 100, and something. Like it will never end, right? Because the stories, when you are here, the fact that I'm actually here, like I talk to women here, I hire women here, I work with them. I have aunties, I have nieces and cousins. Oh my God. You can't even imagine the stories. It's ridiculous. Most of the time, I try not to make this channel about women stuff, but because it's all about me, right? Those are not my stories to tell, but I can share some of them if they actually, pierce my heart. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as usual, I will talk to you in the next vlog. I love you.